What's going on, everybody? Trev 52-129. I'm kidding. Trev 2323 here again. I'm doing a little video today on my marble crayfish. Scientific name, I have no idea. But these are the ones with the it's an all-female species, and they need no males to repopulate. They get, I'd venture to say, maybe 4 inches big, and after the first 6 to 8 months after they're born, they start having babies on their own. One of the reasons why I got these is because my intentions was to go ahead and feed them to my tilapia when they get big enough. The tilapia are pretty much vegetarians a lot, but I got mines on pond pellets. Whole other story, whole other thing. My tilapia, I got on regular pond pellets, the wardleys from the store, but I don't know what kind of corn or wheat, if it's GMO or whatever. I bought the organic stuff, and they really didn't like it as much as the other ones. So right now I got them just on mainly the pond stuff. I mixed it up, but they would actually eat the organic stuff last. Anyways, I bought these to raise these to go ahead and throw them into the tilapia pond to see if the tilapia would eat them. And also, since I'm a fisherman, this is a very invasive species since they self-populate that you can't let it go anywhere. So if I did want to use them for fishing, I would actually have to freeze them and only take them to the lakes if they're dead. But let me show you what I got here. The little guppies don't mind those. My daughter was moving and she didn't want to take her fish with her, so she happened to throw them in here, and that's all the little guppy babies. But there's a marble crayfish baby. That's one of my babies, and there's actually a whole bunch of them. So here's one all the way in the back right there, and inside the mouth there's one of the mamas right there. Inside that little mouth, this skull, actually there's one on the bottom sticking out right there, and then there's one on eggs all the way in the back right there. That's one on eggs, and underneath the water is one on eggs. See, there's another baby, if you can see in the plant right there. The babies are like almost white when they come out. They're like almost clear as day, but then they start to get color on them as they get older. Now these mamas that I got, like I said, that's one right back in there. They were actually probably that size or smaller when I got them. They're about that size or smaller. I mean, they were tiny when they came in the mail. And there's another one all the way back in there, if you can see. Let me zoom in right there. Zoomed in too much there. Okay, and there's another one sticking out there. The crazy thing is some of them got big like super fast, and some of them are like still tiny. There's another baby right there. Then if you can see over here, there's a baby right down there, and there's a baby right there. What I put in the tank is I do give them live plants. Oh, let me see, it's still going forward. Sorry about that. I do give them like that's a live plant right there, and they're eating the live plant. If you could see, there was another live plant that they chewed all the way up, and that's all what's left of the live plant. And then there was like a live plant. I'm trying to think what it looked like. Like little clovers were on the plant. I don't know what it was, and they devoured that. There's nothing left in there within 2 weeks. So the marble crayfish, they are vegetarians. They're not cannibals like the regular crayfish, the pond crabs. That when they molt, they'll eat each other and they'll eat their young. These marble crayfish, they don't eat their young. I actually thought the guppies ate the babies in the beginning. I was like, there's no babies. I thought the guppies ate the babies when they had their babies, but they were so tiny and microscopic, and they hid. They actually hid underneath where the skull is, in that little bit right there. I was looking in the flashlight, and there were a whole bunch of them underneath that skull right there until they got big enough to come out like that. So that one right there is on eggs back there right now. You could tell when they're on their eggs, because when they're on their eggs, their tail is just completely closed, like clamped in, and they would just stay with their tail clamped in and burrow down somewhere until their eggs hatch. I'd venture to say maybe it took like, I don't know, I'd venture to say it was like 2 weeks that they stood clamped down like that. I was like, maybe the water's bad, maybe something else, and sure enough, when they let it up, you're seeing like little black dots walking all around. But the bad thing is you can't really do a partial water change when they have their babies because they're so dang tiny. So I got an emperor filter on here. The biggest emperor that you can hang on the back is the filter that I'm using. The clay pots I have in there were actually for tilapia. There's one going through the clay pot right now, sitting in the back. You see him back there? There's one back there. But the clay pots were in there because I had my tilapia in here. I would actually breed my tilapia in here because it's easier to maintain the temperature inside of this tank than it is into a big pond. So I had my tilapia in here, and then when the mom was on eggs, actually I would pull the rest of the tilapia out there and just leave the mom on eggs, and they'd have so much babies that the tilapia will have like maybe at least 50 to 100 babies, real tiny, and just fill up the tank. Then I would pull the mom out. But like I said, this turned into my crayfish tank right here. And these guppies, actually I'm probably going to get rid of all these dang babies. It has so much babies, I couldn't even believe it. But anyways, that's my little story on the marble crayfish. I have the temperature here set at about 80 degrees is what the tank temperature is. I do got a really good heater back in there. I think it's a 300 watt heater I got in there just to keep the water stable. Like I said, they do like live plants. You pay like $5 for a live plant, and they will eat it. They will devour it. I also, oh, that's one thing also I wanted to show you right here. I feed them. This is what I feed my crayfish. I mean my marble crayfish. Tetra Veggie tropical algae wafers. I actually break these. I break the algae wafers into like pieces, like 5, 10, 15 little pieces, and I sprinkle them around, and you see them actually run out to grab the food like they know they're gonna eat. And another thing that I feed them is this crab cuisine. I put like 5 to 10 pellets. I actually put more now they got babies. Is I feed them the crab cuisine also. These are the main two things that I feed the marble crayfish. This is what I feed the guppies, but with the guppies, you know, whatever they don't eat, what sits on the bottom, the crayfish are gonna eat anyways. I did grab some of these algae discs also, but these kind of sucked a little bit more. They kind of really sucked because they're just harder to break apart. And for the wafers, they're so much easier to break apart that the crayfish, I can spread them out more from where crayfish could eat them instead of them fighting over them. Anyways, that's a little bit on my marble crayfish. I'll show you a little bit more when they start having the babies. Hopefully if it gave you some insight. After you got them acclimated to the water, I maintained it right about 80 degrees, and there's been no problem with them ever since. Other than if you got to do a partial water change, do it while they're big and there's no babies, because you're not going to be able to see those babies. Alright, hopefully it helped out. Thanks for watching. Bye. Oh, and one more thing that I almost forgot to mention is that the little tubes in there. All that is little plastic tubing, like not a PVC pipe, it's just plastic tubing. There's a 1-inch one and maybe a 1/2-inch one or whatever. The smaller ones are for the babies to come in, and then there's 1-inch ones I just cut in there, and actually the crayfish actually do go in there to hide. There's a lot of crayfish that make them in their homes. So the more crayfish that I have, the more plastic tubing. I like those because they just sink to the bottom. They don't float. You don't got to try to fight to get them to the bottom. And you can get a whole length of it really dirt cheap. So all you do is cut them in little pieces and they sink to the bottom. So that's where the crayfish hide. So if you're planning on having crayfish babies, just get a tubing and just cut them into a lot of little pieces and they'll hide in there. That's what I meant to tell you. Thanks. Bye.